Hi, welcome to the Center for Teaching Excellence workshop on creating community with Blackboard. I'm Jed Lyons, the director of the CTE, and we're very happy today that Chris Brown is going to be facilitating this conversation with us, because I think she's probably knows more about Blackboard than anybody in the state of South Carolina, and we're really lucky to have her at the university and looking forward to this conversation. Thanks,
Okay.
Chris.
Thanks, Jen. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. We're going to talk a little bit about building community with Blackboard. And so first of all, though, do many of you teach online, or are you looking for building community within a face-to-face class using Blackboard? Or okay. All right, so the answer to that was face-to-face, right? Okay. I gave everybody little handouts there, so if you want to jot notes and stuff. First of all, and use the little microphone button in front of you, if you will, what are your thoughts on things that are the elements of community? You know, when we're talking about building community, what are we really talking about? Anyone have any thoughts?
Participation.
Participation. Okay. What else?
That the people feel connected.
Connected.
That they feel
Okay.
part of a group.
Connected to the group or to the class. Okay. Anybody else?
Working together?
Working together? Or collaboration?
They all have a commonality, whether it's a class or an interest or a subject.
Okay, so a common interest or commonality. Is that right? Okay, and you had one?
Support.
Support. Okay. Any other elements you can think of? I had a little list of things that I came across when I was sort of researching the topic, and the whole safety and security thing we kind of overlook sometimes when we're talking about community, but people don't generally join in or share or whatever if they don't feel safe to do it. So somehow when we're setting up our community on Blackboard or wherever, just within the class, it's really important to create that sense of safety and security. I mean, think about community in general, like where you live. That's another thing that's very important about feeling a part of your community is the safety and security. We already talked about, you guys mentioned communication and collaboration. Sharing, we talked about, the identifying with a group. And one of the things, especially if you're talking about a strictly online course, is the whole social interaction thing. And whether online or face-to-face, you can use Blackboard to help with the whole problem-solving kind of approach. Okay, so we kind of talked about elements of community. What are we talking about? So we have elements that build it. So what is an actual community? Your thoughts, especially when it comes to a class or online. No thoughts?
Certainly a group of people.
A group, yeah.
But they
Okay, a group of people, but what makes that group of people a community?
Have to have some common bond.
With a common bond. Okay. Any others? I went out and I don't know if you guys have discovered this, but on Google you just do define colon in the word, and it'll bring back all these definitions off the web. And so this came from WordNet Web at Princeton. So a group of people. And the first one was living in a particular area, but the group was the main thing I wanted to get out of that. Common interests, agreement as to goals, and sometimes this whole idea of being interdependent and interacting with each other are good things that define community. For learners, here was a good definition that I don't even know what this website is, but it looks like it came from Canada. So learners who, although separated by distance and time, share a common experience. And so how do you make the experience on your Blackboard site be a common experience? It can be different for everybody. So I came up with a couple of problems that you need to overcome, especially when you're doing a distance thing and reaching your students. And the problems I came up with were these three: isolation, no personal connection to the course, and not able to see classmates. Do you guys have any other things you want to add to that?
Outside distractions.
Oh, that's a good one. There's a purpose for all this, because I'm going to show you what you can do to deal with all of it.
You mean like they're too busy to do things outside of class, or things that come into the class from outside?
Well, if they're doing an online class, then it can be, or an online session, you're competing with their Facebook and their email and their like anything else, anything happening around them, to keep them really centered and focused on the material, unlike face-to-face when you can see their eyes and direct them back if they're not paying attention.
And if they have a laptop in class, they can be distracted by Facebook and
there's also the overcoming of the time issue. If you're teaching online, they're not necessarily going to be with you at the same time.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me step back before I move on to that next page. Some of the things I'm going to tell you about, some tricks that I came across in talking with other faculty members and in doing some research and so forth. And the first one with the isolation and no personal connection to the course and so on, came up with these icebreakers. And somebody was talking about doing icebreakers within a class, and I do it in my face-to-face class all the time. I have people interview one another and describe the other person or introduce the other person. I have the one where the first person in the class has to say their name, and then the second person in the class says the first person's name and then theirs, and the 30th person has to say everybody. But then I do everybody too. But I couldn't figure out how to do that kind of stuff online, I mean, personally, until I went out and noticed or found some of these. I thought the first one's kind of cool, a favorite quote or saying. So you as the instructor will ask the students to all put out their favorite quote and then explain why that it's their favorite quote, and then have others reply to that. And the other one I thought was really nifty is this 2 lies and a truth, where I don't know, have you guys ever played that game where you have to say 3 things about yourself and 2 of them are lies and 1 of them's true, and everybody has to figure out which one's true? This third one I thought was really cool. The way it was described was have people go out in a MapQuest or Google Earth and do a map of where they live or where they're from to where the class is located. And then they can, do like measurements on the distance, tell you about areas or points of interest between the 2 locations and things like that. I thought this one was fun. Have your students go out there and explain their name, how they got the name that they got, because that's a very interesting story for a lot of people. It can be kind of boring for some, but for most people it is pretty interesting. 3 favorite things, that's a way to get people talking about things that they like. The one that I thought was kind of funny was the 4 things at Walmart that best describe you. And then what's on your reading list? People love to talk about the books that they've been reading, and that tells you a lot about the people. And it gets other people going, oh, yeah, I read that one. Or I have this Malcolm Gladwell thing going on with a guy at work. Every time we talk, it's talking about Outliers or Tipping Point or one of those. And then the last one was cool. I only have the first 3 words of it is would you rather here. And you have a list of things. Would you rather do this or this? Or would you rather teach a class, or would you rather go outside and jump in puddles? You know, it wasn't quite that disparate, but I have a link if anybody's interested on the Would You Rather Icebreaker. So those are some ideas of the kinds of things that you can do, but you can take these and put them into the nifty tools that we have on Blackboard, either the Wiki, blog, or discussion board. And I'll talk about those in more detail in a minute. Some ideas for activities that you could do. Now, what we were doing back here, these are the, oh gosh, I don't know how to put a term on this, but the things that you can do and then how you can do them. So one of the things that I found from a good friend of mine, Cheryl Wissick, who teaches here in the College of Education, is a real nifty banner to put on her Blackboard course. Does everybody know that you can put a banner on your Blackboard course? Okay, I'll show you how to do that. But there's a place in the control panel under course options, and it allows you to change your course settings, and you can add a banner, which is a little rectangular picture that'll go at the top of your page. There's another thing that you can do is getting to know you pages in a wiki, and you can have your students load their picture to the getting to know you pages. But there's something really important you have to keep in mind if you ask anybody to load a file to Blackboard, and that's it cannot contain any spaces in the file name. If you put spaces in the file name or special characters in the file name, you're going to end up with the picture not showing up. So another thing that you can do to eliminate the isolation thing we were talking about before, or to create connectedness, is a private blog. And I did this when I taught an online class. I had a private blog, which is a journal essentially, and only the students and I could see it. And what I had them do was, at the end of every week's set of lessons, I had them post what they thought about the lesson for that week, how it made them feel, or you know, if it was challenging or whatever they thought about what was going on with the lesson. And believe me, they told me, especially when I asked them to do a group project. You know, people hate group projects as it is, but they really hate online group projects. But, you know, that's another way of creating community, is getting people to work together. And anyway, so in the private blog, they would tell me how they felt about that stuff, and I would comment to them. And one of the things that happened during the course of this particular class was I had to have my gallbladder taken out. And so I wasn't as present online for a few days answering the people in the private blog. And all of a sudden on the discussion board, where they were talking with one another, was, have you heard from her? What's going on? And, you know, I didn't feel like I should be telling people, oh my gosh, I have to have surgery kind of thing, so I didn't tell them. But discovered that they like to know stuff like that. So, and I'm going to show you an example of somebody who brings the students kind of into her life to create that community thing. Another nifty activity is sharing Jing videos. Does everybody know about Jing? Jing is this really cool, free, get that, free tool from TechSmith.com. And if you want to get to it, it's www.jingproject.com. And you can download Jing for free. And what Jing will let you do is make a video of anything that you're doing on your screen. It'll also let you do still captures and actually put text or whatever on a still image. But the cool thing is if you're willing to spend a little bit of money, like $14.95 a year, you can get Jing Pro, and Jing Pro will actually let you do a little video of yourself, and I'll show you that in a minute. But it'll let you do a webcam thing. Another cool activity is sharing e-portfolios, and then the last one is online case studies. And has anybody ever done a case study online? Have you done case studies within your classes and stuff like that? Okay, and so that kind of brings people together to talk about a common problem or a problem that they've seen, but now it's common. And online, one of the interesting approaches I saw to the case study discussion was they would go over in a chat session. They would go over with the entire group the kind of basis of the whole case and what was happening, and then the instructor would break them out into small groups to do parts of the discussion. He would have them do one group would talk about the characters of the case, another group would talk about the elements of the case, and then a third would talk about alternatives for how you would resolve that particular case. Then they'd all come back together to discuss it as a group. So this was using the online chat features within Blackboard. But another way, if you want to do it asynchronously, that you can't have students all be there at the same time, is you could do a case study with your discussion board. The only thing is you don't have as dynamic a discussion. And you can also do that with Adobe Connect, in addition to Blackboard. Okay.
Are you going to talk about the difference between a discussion board and a blog?
And a blog and a wiki. And yes, I'm going to show you all those in just a second. But before I do that, do you guys have any activities? Have any of you tried anything with Blackboard to try to build community among your students?
I made a discussion board once, but nobody used it. So I need to know how to write a good question, I guess.
A good question. Well, yeah.
You just can't create a discussion board and they don't just like say, oh, great, I get to discuss here.
Right. A lot of faculty create these things that they call them like student cafe, where students can go and just discuss stuff. In fact, I do that in my COBOL class. I also have one for syntax errors. If somebody's got a syntax error when they write their program and they don't know how to resolve it, they can go there and ask questions. But unless I assign something to those areas, it's rare that anybody uses them. Yes, sir.
How much interest is there from students in the typical face-to-face classroom setting to actually build an online community? I mean, this is something that this generation of students really wants, even though they're still getting the 3 times a week lecture, or are students in that case kind of like, well, why do I need to go online if I'm already coming 3 times a week? I'm just curious. I don't know what students, they really desire this even though they're getting 3 times a week lecture, or is this more for the online type of class?
I'm glad you asked that, because I asked that question of my students just this week in my COBOL class. And I got kind of a mixed bag of responses, but it was probably pretty heavily weighted on the side where they enjoyed it, the online stuff. And I use a lot of Jing videos to show them how to do stuff and to get them talking about things. This semester I've been having them create their own Jing videos where I have introduced some sort of concept in the class, and then I have them do a Jing video about that concept. And I give them a rubric explaining all the things that I'm expecting to see in that video, so that, I feel like you learn differently when you talk about it. Saying something out loud just makes your brain work in a slightly different way. So I'm trying to get them to think that way rather than just reading and listening. And now some of them made the comment on the little survey I did saying, just one more thing for me to do bad on. But others were saying that they really enjoyed using the technology and that it helped them understand better.
Did they have to buy Jing Pro to do that, or could they do
No,
it with the free?
no, because they're talking about it by showing a COBOL program, so they're just showing what's on the screen. So they don't need to do the webcam part, and it's just the webcam part and saving it as an MP4 that you have to pay for. But just regular Jing, where you're doing a screen capture kind of thing, that's free. So, oh, and the other thing is they do a wiki. And they work together in groups to write their programs. And so they have a wiki, and they have 4 people in a group, and they all have their assigned roles. And one of them has to put programming specs out there. Another one has to put the data that they're going to be using for their program out there. And they really like that. They really like having a spot to go to where they know they're going to get all the information. Yes, ma'am.
What's a wiki?
I'm going to show you a wiki. A wiki actually means fast in Hawaiian, or wiki is supposed to mean fast in Hawaiian, and it's a fast way of creating a web page.
That
and-
multiple people can edit, right?
Right. Multiple people can make changes to it. Okay, I'm going to kind of skip this whole discussion over here and go into some of the tools that I wanted to show you. And one of the ones is announcements in Blackboard. Is a great tool for building community, whether you're face-to-face or if you're completely online. And let me show you. Let me put it back on the pointer there. This is my friend Cheryl Wissick's class. And she does this banner for her course site with all the pictures. Her students have a Getting to Know You wiki, and here's the wiki. It's a course intro wiki, and they're all required to go out here and put some information about themselves out here, and part of that is loading a picture. And then Cheryl just does a right click and a Save Picture As, and then she'll go and drop all of these pictures into a table on a Word document. And then after she's done that, she just uses some tool like Snagit. That's screen capture stuff. You could use Jing even if you wanted to, but she grabs it, highlights the little table here, and then saves it as a JPEG image, so then she can load it back to her Blackboard class and put it at the top of her announcements. So now the students see everybody, but they also see everybody's name, which I think is great. You know, I do the little thing where I try to learn everybody's name the first night. That's why I do that one where they all say their names. But this is really helpful if you're getting to my age and having trouble putting faces and names together.
And one thing, too, in response to Matt's question, do they like it even though they're face-to-face?
Mm-hmm.
Even in a face-to-face class, you don't know as a student, you don't know your peers' names.
Right.
You don't know people's names. So this is a way to put faces with names for the students as well as for the instructor.
Yeah, exactly.
So they upload their like sort of a mini assignment at the beginning of the class, then is that they each upload a picture.
Mm-hmm.
As if they were uploading an assignment or something like that, or where do they?
They go here. This is their course wiki.
Okay.
And this is in Blackboard, and it's pretty easy to create a wiki. It's just down in the control panel, and I can show you a little bit about details if you want. But essentially, the student just goes into this area, and they click right up here on Edit, and it's going to give them a page. I'm not going to add a page, but I'll show you what it looks like. And they'll just first go down here and create a link to a page that they're going to create. And then from here they can create a new page. And like if it were me, I would just put in my name and whatever I was going to say about myself. And then right there is Insert Image. And they just load an image and then click Save, and they're done. So So that's the Wiki piece. And if you notice that, she had each one of them load the picture. And there was an assignment, I think it was out here. Yeah, use this wiki to create one-page introduction, insert a nice headshot that's going to be used in the class banner. So, little short bit of instructions on how to do that. But that's one of my favorite things. I think I'm going to start doing that in my class. I might even bring a camera to class and take everybody's picture. We did that in one of the classes I was in. The instructor took everybody's picture, and I don't recall where she put them, though.
But now this is a banner, so the students, when they pull up their Blackboard page, that's what they see.
Yeah, this
every
is
time.
when they come into their Blackboard course. Let me go like down here or something. When they first come into the Blackboard course, that's what they see. And if they scroll down, there's all the announcements that will go with that course. Okay, let me make sure I'm staying on track here. Now, the other thing with announcements is just making them personal. And this is Elizabeth Miller from Library Science. She does this class, and I love what she does with her announcements. If she finds something interesting on a web page, the first one that drew me to what she was doing in her class was when she cut and pasted this nifty little GIF, animated GIF. Do you know what this little picture that moves? It was about Groundhog Day. And she accidentally got some bad HTML code in there, and it messed up all of her announcements. So I had to go in there and help her fix it. And when I did, I came across all this great stuff she did with announcements. So the first one is essentially web page stuff that she put out there. You could just as easily put a link, but it's kind of fun coming in and seeing this when you go into your Blackboard site. But she's very personable about all the stuff that she puts out here, and she gives them lots of information about things that are coming up. But let me scroll down a little bit more. Her daughter was getting married, so the students knew that was going on, so she's got a lot of wedding pictures out here. I mean, I just thought that was great. This is, talk about community. You're all about a wedding, and I've seen other people put pictures of their grandchildren out there. She puts newspaper clippings. This is a scanned image from a newspaper clipping that she's got out here. And just lots of information and links and things like that. And you can do all of this right smack dab in your announcements area in Blackboard. That's pretty easy to do that stuff. Her area goes further. Now, we talked about wikis a little bit, but let me tell you a little bit about the blogs. Blogs and wikis in Blackboard are made by the same company. It's an external plug-in that we put in Blackboard. And so they're both pretty easy to do. But she does this thing called Blog Buddies, where she has students put an entry out on their journal. So they're keeping a journal about the class, but somebody has to respond to them. So she pairs them up as two people. And she kind of explains what to do. She lists all these people with links to their blogs. So these are all the individuals within the class and links to the blogs. But here's the cool piece that she does. She has this one Blog Buddy link, and this little thing up here is a permalink. And if you go, you can like right-click and go to that link and save it, and then you can make that a link within this page. So she created a table of all of her students and who their blog buddies were, but all of these are linked. So if I click on Jamie Bettis, it takes me straight to her blog, and I can read all her postings and the comments that were put out there by her blog buddy. Or I can go click on her blog buddy, and it takes me to to her blog. So I just really love that whole concept of the blog buddies, and then creating the table to make it really easy for them to get to all of their stuff. She goes a step further too with discussion wikis, and she had her students do virtual tours of where they worked, so they could get to know each other about where they worked. The only thing that was a problem, though, is video files can get really, really big, and there's a limit to how big a file that you can put on the wikis here. So what she did, let me find her. This one. What she did, or what some of the students did, is they actually loaded stuff out to TeacherTube. You could just as easily make it YouTube or whatever would be specific to your discipline. So they didn't actually have to load the video directly on the wiki. They just put a link to it out there. And so here's her.
South Carolina has a rural population of 2,470.
It gets to a school in a minute, but so a very nice little video that that this student did.
And this whole course is an online course, or
Yeah.
is this face-to-face too?
This one is online.
This is actually her. It's a group of students who are doing internships. in school
Internships, yeah,
libraries.
that's right.
So they meet face to face 3 times, but other than that,
And so that's
they-
why
they-
there's so much interaction online.
yeah,
Right, but they do meet like
they meet 3 times.
Okay.
mhm.
The beginning, sort of in the middle, and the end.
And the cool thing is she says that they really love getting together and meeting face to face, especially after learning so much about one another. It's kind of like meeting the face over the telephone kind of thing. So there was one other thing I wanted to show you on her. This one. And it was that same person. This is another wiki. Author visit. This same student had was doing a wiki where she included images. It was the same thing about the length of the videos, so she just put them all out on TeacherTube, but she made a really nice page all about the visit from this particular author and all the stuff that went on. Now, I will tell you that in the College of Nursing, they make really heavy use of wikis, and this is in face-to-face classes, and they use them for group projects that they're going to be working on. And they'll have a topic about, say, end-of-life experience, dealing with people who are terminally ill, or you name it, any topic. And the students will get together and create these wikis, and they do a lot with tables and putting images and juxtaposing that to text. And Vera Polyakova Norwood does a session generally with Joanne Herman or somebody else from the College of Nursing in the best institutes that we do. So in January she'll probably be doing another presentation on that if you guys are interested. I'll show you real quick that we have a website that you can go to. It's www.sc.edu/best. And there's a little calendar out here that has all the training that we do. And when January comes along, you're going to see a whole slew of them for the 7th and 8th. It's the 2 days before classes start back. And that'll be our January Best Institute. And Vera will be doing a session, hopefully, on how nursing uses wikis in their classroom.
A quick question about
Sure.
the wikis. His point about the discussion board, and I guess the wikis are the same way, that if you're directing as part of an assignment that they need to go and contribute to a wiki or be a part of it, does it show, just as it does with other things, when it was created and so that you know they did it by the certain date you're holding them to?
Yeah, well, if I can get back there. Let's go to this wiki here. You see at the top, it tells you it was last edited by the person's name, the day, the date, and the time that they did that. But not only that, you have this little history button over here. And if I click on the history, it shows me all of the days, dates, and times that they did it, and I can view the differences. And you see the little green highlight there that, well, wasn't a whole lot of change on that particular one. But I can go on to the next difference and just keep going through, and I can see what changes were made. And so, you know how we were, oh, I didn't show you this yet. She has another table where people put in dates and stuff. And you'd be able to tell if somebody made a change to somebody else's stuff because you have this history thing. You can see who did it and what change they made. It's kind of the big brother aspect of Blackboard that I just really love.
But as a group project, you'd be able to see how much that each person did contribute something physically.
Exactly. If it's a group project, you can see how much each individual contributed. Okay. Did that? Okay, good.
Thank you.
And Jed, you were talking about discussion board. How do you make a good discussion board question? Anybody got any ideas on that? Let me go back here to, I don't know why this takes two for. This is kind of the stuff that Elizabeth does with her discussion boards. She uses a lot of that as well. She has a student lounge. I was telling you about I call it Cyber Cafe. People have all sorts of names for the just go here and talk kind of discussion board. And she just gives them the spot. And she's got like 26 people posting to this thing. A cool tool, let me show you real quick in case you've never been in the discussion board area. If you want to read all of these postings at once, or say you're going on an airplane trip and you want to not have to use your laptop, you can do this little select all thing where everybody gets marked and say collect, and it'll bring everything back in a scrollable format so you can just scroll through all the postings that are out there. And then you can click on the little print version here and actually print out, well, we don't want to actually print it out, but you can actually print out that listing and take it with you if you want. I'm sorry I don't have any better ideas about discussion board questions, but
I wonder if, and this isn't from writing my own questions, but so my son just took the SAT and the ACT in the last month, and he said it was easier to respond to the ACT because the question was two-sided. It was pick a side. It was, like you said, would you rather, you know, it was two-sided.
Oh, that was the would you rather thing in the Icebreakers,
it was two-sided, and the SAT question was tell why you should respect old people, something like that. So it was just a something, as opposed to the other was two-sided, and you kind of picked a side and made an argument. And he really felt that responding, and this, you know, is not in the context of wikis or discussion boards or whatever, but he felt in the process of responding, he felt more compelled to respond to something that he had to take a side on, or make an argument for in that way. That's just a thought. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good one. Very good one.
I would also say that as long as you can make the discussion boards relevant, the students might go in there and participate. But if you just put discussion forums up there for no obvious reason to them, you're not going to get that much activity. But if part of your activity scores for your class are for them to go and discuss a particular topic on a forum, that'd be good. And you can also give them the assignment that they are graded by contributing and then also responding to like 2 or 3 other forums questions. So the more relevant you can make it, the more apt you are to get people to participate.
And when you set up a discussion forum, you can tell Blackboard you want it to set up a gradebook column and all that. And there's a cool tool within Blackboard that will allow you to actually go in and see who's all posted to what. It's under the control panel. I don't know if everybody knows about this particular thing, but it's called the Performance Dashboard. And within the Performance Dashboard, you can see all of their discussion board postings. So I can go over to this person and click on that, and I can see all the stuff that they've done.
Can the students set up discussion questions? Or is that something that...
They can add thread. You can set it up so the students can add threads, which could be their own question. You could set up a forum saying, okay, I want you to post a question that you want everybody to respond to. So in a discussion board, the instructor has to create the actual forum. Once you're in a forum, then you have the threads, and that's what the students can actually create. Or if you want them all to respond to your question and you don't want them changing threads, you can set up your own thread, and then the only thing they can do is respond. So just depends on how you want the flow of the discussion to go.
This thing about the performance dashboard,
Mm-hmm.
I think really makes it easy to get an overview. And sometimes I think it helps if you have the opportunity to briefly demo it to students, because then it lets them know that you can very easily do this.
that you can go out there and look, yes. In fact, that's one of the things I do with my students is, in addition to the performance dashboard, I don't know if you guys know about the course statistics, and you can go out here and get an overview of who all accessed Blackboard, when they accessed it, how many times they did, and all that. And so on the first day of class, I go in armed with 3 little USB drives. And this year, I also took a little mini, what do you call it, the little universal tool, like a Leatherman tool. I took one of those and a couple of USB drives. And I said, okay, where's Tejas? And Tejas raised his hand, and I said, okay, you win first prize. Which of these do you want? And so he took a USB drive. And then I'd ask for somebody else, and I said, you win second prize. And the third person got the Leatherman tool because nobody wanted that. And but I do it. I go in there, and I said, you know what you did to win this prize? And they have no clue right at first. And so I start telling them a little bit about the class and how I handle the class, and ask them again, do you know now? You know, what have you done in association with this class that would cause you to win a prize? And finally they go, oh, Blackboard, I've been on Blackboard a bunch. And so that really lets them know how important it is for them to be checking Blackboard within that class. So, but anyway, you can see all sorts of stuff in this course statistics area. We're not going to dwell on that there. So for all those activities we've been talking about, in addition to the blogs and wikis that we've been looking at in the discussion board, Blackboard has something called personal home pages that students can create. There's the chat and virtual classroom that I mentioned earlier. The only difference between chat and virtual classroom is chat is just straight chat box, and virtual classroom allows you to do a little bit more with whiteboard and things like that if you want to. Blackboard also has something called self and peer assessment now. It's a great tool. I'm just now figuring out how to use it with any little bit of competence. And then another tool that you can put out there, everybody knows that you can do tests on Blackboard, but you can also do surveys that are not anonymous. So you can do formative surveys. I was just telling you this week I had heard from my students telling me that how they felt about doing group work and a few other things within my class. And
what link is that under on Blackboard to create a formative survey?
a survey? I'll show you all of that right now. I'm actually going to go into not Blackboard, it's Blackboard. I have a sandbox class out here that doesn't actually have real students in it. And down here in the control panel. And what was I going to show you? Self-and-peer assessment. What was the other one?
Formative.
Formative.
Survey.
Just under Survey Manager is here. This is how you'd create a survey. And you would just click Add Survey, and you have all sorts of questions or question types. We'll do... sorry. And it's the same kind of questions that you have for a quiz, but the things that you can use quite a bit, I think it has an opinion scale or a Likert type question, and then your essay question for just having an open-ended response. And you can also have them do single word answers or short answers or even yes/no type things if you want. After you pick your question, you just kind of say go and say this workshop. And it already has, if you pick that Likert one, it already has answers in here on your typical Likert, but you can go in and change it if you want to. Once you actually create a survey, though, there's a second step that you have to do, and that's called deploying it. And you just pick a place where you want to put it over here in your content areas. And you could actually create a link that said surveys if you want to. In fact, if I go to my real class, here it is. I have a link right there that says surveys, and if they click on that, they'll get this is the course critique, and I asked them a little bit about they felt like they were learning anything. I really wanted to know about the teaching technique I'm trying to do, the group work and so forth, to make sure it was helping them. And then I asked them what they like least about the class, what they like best, and what would they change.
And that's anonymous.
Yep.
How do you deploy it in the content area? How do you do that part?
To deploy it, you pick where you're going to put it. So in my case, it was under surveys. And it's over here next to select. You pick survey and then pick go. And then you grab the survey you want to put out there and submit. And once you've done that, you have to set the options to make it available. And you would make it available and set any of the other options you want to put out there.
And just the fact that it's a survey, does that make it anonymous, or is that one of the options that you choose?
No, the fact that it's a survey makes it anonymous. You don't have the option of putting a survey out there and then finding out who did it, unless you want to actually ask for their name. If for some reason you need to know demographic information or who said what. But the thing of it is, if you need to know that, it's better off to just create a test and treat it as a survey. because you can make a test not calculate into the grades, and you also have the options of whether it shows under my grades and stuff like that. So you can use a test just like a survey.
Chris, if this puts us going backwards, then I can ask the question later, but I noticed on your class with the yellow banner at the top, and I got that with the other teacher, she had all of the pictures uploaded, put it in a table, but I think I'm missing the link between it being in a table and how you make it show up at the top.
Okay. Well, she put it in a table, and then she turned it in, she used some tool to turn it into a JPEG, a picture file. Okay? So, in the control panel, down here under course options, you have this settings. And within settings, okay, I just lied to you. I do that frequently, but I'm sorry, it's course design, not settings. And then there's course banner. The reason I lied to you is it used to be settings.
Thank you.
There's course banner, and you just browse and pick the image you want to use, and browse to wherever the picture file is that you're going to use, and click open, and it'll put it there. And you submit.
Thank you.
Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Do you have time also to explain how you set up a discussion board?
Okay, sure. To set up a discussion board, you can just click on discussion board right here, or you can go down into the control panel and go to discussion board. Either way, it doesn't really matter. And once you click on discussion board, you go up and you click on add forum, and you give it a name. You would tell them what you want to do. Of course, that's a little wide open, but you can set dates of availability. So if you only want to give them a certain amount of time to respond, you can set that here. And then you have a bunch of forum settings down here, whether or not you're going to allow anonymous posts. It depends on who your students are as to whether or not you want to allow that kind of stuff, or what you're trying to accomplish with the discussion board. Allowing someone to modify their own post or to delete it is almost the same thing as allowing them to do it anonymously, because once it's gone, you have no proof. They can tag their posts, put little, like, if they had a bunch of stuff pertaining to higher education, they could put a tag on there so they could search on that tag and go back and find those posts. You can allow them to attach files if you want to. Here's the thing I was talking about, allowing them to create new threads. You can not allow that, but then you've got to start it with the first thread.
The thread is another word for a question.
Well, actually, the forum is the area or the big general topic that everybody's going to be talking about. And the thread is like the subject. Like right now we're all talking about how to create a discussion board, but somebody might want to start talking about wikis and blogs in a minute, and so that would be kind of like changing the subject. So that would be the new thread, would be wikis and blogs. Okay?
I think you reply to threads, or is that right?
Right. You add threads and then you reply to threads. And the threads are the actual conversation that are going on. I'll actually show you one. Oh, there's not one here. Let me go to... So this is the forum, and this one is on introduction. And within that forum, there's several threads. And I've got this set up in collect mode. Let me go to a different discussion board. Okay, and so these are the different threads. So they're the different topics that people put out there. And you notice over here there are 4 posts on this particular topic. So these are people replying to that particular thread. But if they want to, they can go out and add a new thread. and kind of change the subject. And a lot of times in your forum, that's what people are going to be doing, or adding threads. But then when you tell your students they need to respond to at least 2 of their fellow students' postings, then they're going to be going into the thread and then clicking reply to respond. Okay? Does that make a little more sense about forums and threads? Okay, does anybody else have questions on that? On those things? The last thing I had down here was about building community. Remember we talked about that safety and security thing in the very beginning, is being a part of, feeling like you're part of a community, especially if you're going to do something specifically online, or if you're asking your students to go in and build a wiki, or participate in a blog, or do Jing videos, or any of those things that we've talked about. If you don't set the expectations by giving them a rubric or a list of what you expect them to do, and if you don't give them a good schedule of what's supposed to be out there, then that whole safety thing kind of goes out the window. And you have, like my one student saying, you give me one more thing to do badly on. You don't want them to feel like that. You want them to feel like this is a way for them to express common interests and join the community. So, any questions, further ideas? Yes, sir.
Excuse me, a question about the jingproject.com that you mentioned. The free version of it, does that allow for, I know it captures what you're doing on your desktop, but does it also allow for at least voice, or is that?
It does, yeah.
Okay, so you can do a recording while you're, you can't do a webcast?
Right, the free one won't let you do a webcast. This is the one that I paid $14.95 for, and this is a horrible background, and
One where your TV was on?
this is one where my TV's on, so I'm turning pink and yellow and blue and but
Kind of alien-like.
A little video of yourself at the beginning of any online course. That way your students feel like they're really connected.
anyway, so that's the one that lets you do the webcam.
Okay.
But let me show you. Let me see. Let me find my course back here. What I really use it for is the how-to and the screen capture, and that's the free part.
And how to create a thread, how to edit your wikis, and things like that.
All kinds of stuff like that. And actually, it was under announcements where I have a whole bunch of these. Okay. I guess the audio is not coming up on this one. Let me find another one maybe. Whoops, there I was talking. Went away too quickly. Let's do this one, headings and total lines. But you see, it's just a screen capture. This is actually OneNote
In this
that I was
video,
looking
we're
at.
going to determine how we actually code the headings and the total line. The headings consist of the main heading right here, Columbia Veterinary Services. And the way we figure out how to do this is we figure out the total length of the line, subtract the length of this area right here, and then divide what's left over by 2, and that's what's going to be the filler over here. That plus 1, because remember we have to...
Now, what you're noticing from that is it's definitely not studio quality. My little laptop has a built-in microphone and a built-in camera, and so it's not studio quality, but my students love it. You know, because I'm not studio quality normally when I'm sitting there in front of them talking about stuff. So they kind of really enjoy that. One of the things I got that little survey that I did, the highest marks were on the Jing videos. They really appreciated having them. Now they do their own Jing videos too, huh?
That was free Jing, or that was 14?
That was free Jing. Not free Jing, it was my head.
And the limitation of the free Jing is 5 minutes. Is that right?
Free and $14.95 Jing is 5 minutes, and that's the cool thing too, because you can't bore your students to death in 5 minutes. And yes, ma'am.
Is there a capacity that Blackboard can hold for all of these files and images, or?
Well, these are just links that I have out here. That's the other cool thing about Jing, is that you get space out on this place called screencast.com, website that TechSmith runs. And you get 2 gig of storage space, but you also get 2 gig of bandwidth, and that's how much stuff, how many times somebody looks at it, these videos. But my students have never pushed me to the limit. Of course, when somebody took one of my Jing videos that I put out there to show somebody how to log into Blackboard and change their password, and they put that on a main website, then my limit started getting hit. And that limit's only monthly, though, so every month you start over again.
One of the things I found out about a lot of these free web services is after a year, once you got a lot of content out there, then they start saying we're converting over to a cash basis, and I'm a little apprehensive about starting some of those things now.
Jing, I've been using it more than a year now, and when they first came out, they kept saying we're not really sure what we're going to do, but the community of people who are Jing users kept saying it needs to stay a free tool. So TechSmith has promised that it's going to stay a free tool. Now, it does entice you with Jing Pro at $14.95 a month, but then it entices you even further $14.95 a year. But it entices you even further to get more space out there on screencast.com, and in order to get more space and more bandwidth, you can pay $9.95 a month or $99.95 a year in order to get that bigger space on Screencast. I haven't needed it so far, though, so it's been pretty good. Okay, any other questions about Jing? Camtasia? Oh, I didn't talk about Camtasia. That's just, Camtasia is the one you really pay for from TechSmith. That lets you do more studio quality type video and stuff like that.
Do you need, if you have a webcam already, you can simply upload your videos to Blackboard.
Right.
With the exception of you can't load too much. They can't be really long.
You can put an actual video out there. In fact, if I go back to my class, I actually have some Camtasia videos out here too. And all of these that say package file, those are all Camtasia videos. And the thing about Camtasia, it's like Jing, only it's better quality. You can go in and edit it and all that sort of stuff. But any kind of video, when it says package file, it's actually loading a couple of extra things, because I turned them into Flash format. But I loaded these directly to Blackboard, and they'll play. And to create a CMS icon on your desktop, first double-click on the Hummingbird neighborhood icon. Then double-click on the 3270 icon, then right-click on the CMS icon. I wanted to make sure they knew I was clicking. Scroll up and click on desktop. So yeah, you can put any kind of video out there, audio, all that sort of stuff. But you do have a space limit within your course, and I think what is it, Mitchell? 500 megabytes.
No, it's 30 meg for individual files. I can't remember what it is for the entire course.
Yeah, it's about 500 meg for an entire course, and 30 meg for an individual file that you load out there. But if you're having your students load things out there as well, it can get pretty big pretty fast. We can increase the space a little bit, but we have to be careful about that because ultimately we'll run out of space and people won't be happy with that. We do keep an eye on it, though.
So could you upload flip videos and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I didn't show you. Well, the stuff that I was showing you on these wikis here for this promote reading thing. Let me find that lady again. Hers was actually flip videos that they had done out here. She has this one where they're introducing an author that came to visit. And why I wanted to show you this particular one is you'll see in a second that this is being taken with a flip video, but you got somebody else in the background that's filming the other way with a flip video. So, but yeah, flip videos work really well out here.
But it's not on the Blackboard page. The link to the teacher tube is on the Blackboard page.
Yeah, she put a link to the teacher tube because she had a pretty big video. And that's kind of, and you could just use YouTube or any other site. In fact, screencast.com will let you put things out there that you could link to. And any web page that you put it out. Or if it's a small enough file, you could easily put it out on Blackboard. Now, the limit that I was talking about for these folks, though, is is it 10 meg, Mitchell? Limit for the wikis in particular. So you can put a pretty big file on Blackboard itself if you were attaching it to a discussion board, or if you, the instructor, was just putting a video file out there. You could put a pretty hefty file out there. It's just that you save space by putting it someplace else and linking. Okay? All right. I think I kind of covered everything that I had. Does anybody else have any questions or ideas or things they want to share? Things I can show you in Blackboard that don't have anything to do with building community?
So for the surveys, you have the formative surveys, which are
anonymous.
Non-anonymous. Are they anonymous, or are they tagged with the person's
No,
name?
they're anonymous. Any survey you do on Blackboard is anonymous. But they're formative in that, I do it during the semester, so it can help me change the class however I want to, to meet their needs. In fact, one of the things that I was getting with the students on that particular survey was the fact that there were a handful of them that I'm doing. I do things where they work on projects within the class, more of an active learning kind of thing, but there's a handful of them that just really wants the lecture. They just really want me to stand there and talk to them, and there's so I let the others work in a group the other night, and I brought those folks down to the front, and I just ran a little mini lecture for them while the others were working in the groups, and it worked out fantastically. So I think that's going to be my approach from now on if you want to come up front and have your little mini lecture. But that's what I got out of doing those formative surveys. So, okay. Anything else? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you would, please fill out one of the evaluations for us. That would be great. If you're watching this online, then there's a little button where you can click, and the online evaluation is just one question, so that won't be too hard. And thank you very much, Chris. We'd like to present you with this little certificate of appreciation. It says,
Thank
in
you.
honor and recognition of her outstanding contribution to building community with Blackboard workshop.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.